Hi, I'm Madeline orjustmaddie, and I'm talking about hockey and BookTok again because now there's some drama. Like I mentioned in my last hockey-related video, BookTok's favorite hockey boy is Alex Wennberg of the Seattle Kraken, and lots of people have made content sort of celebrating him visually. Last week, Alex Wennberg's wife Felicia posted some Instagram stories basically saying, hey guys, enough is enough with the objectification. I have the screenshots, you can pause to read here, but I'll also just give you like the summary. Felicia starts out by saying she initially played along with people talking about how hot her husband is because obviously she also thinks that her husband's hot, but at some point it's kind of crossed a line from thinking someone is attractive and talking about that into actual like harassment and exploitation, and she's not okay with that, understandably, especially because she wrote her dissertation on consent. She points out the double standard, like what if it were female athletes being treated this way, and she mentions that they're trying to raise their son to treat others with respect, and if they had a daughter, they would raise her the same way and not want her to make the kinds of comments online that people are making toward her husband now. And basically she says no hate to the BookTok community, but like think twice before posting the kinds of things that you're posting about actual real human beings. So in the first image in her Instagram story, Felicia has put a location tag over the username of whomever posted the video that she's using as an example. But in the second image, a couple of display names from TikTok are visible, including Kierra, who I mentioned in my last video about hockey and BookTok. Kierra is a booktuber who posted a video reacting to watching a Kraken game. I think she read like some hockey romances and then got interested in hockey and that kind of stuff. And based on that reaction video, the Seattle Kraken brought her out for a playoff game. They gave her a jersey that said BookTok on the back. So she's been kind of like the Kraken BookTok girl. And a lot of her content focuses on how hot she thinks the players are. So after Felicia posted these Instagram stories, since Kierra's name was visible, she started getting some hate. So she reached out to Felicia via DM, she apologized, she said she would delete her videos with Wennberg in them, and Felicia left her on read. Alex Wennberg himself also posted on his stories basically backing his wife up, saying she said it better than he could. He was uncomfortable with a lot of the inappropriate comments that were being made, especially under photos of him with her or like photos of their family. They have a baby. Meanwhile, Kierra noticed the Kraken had unfollowed her on TikTok and deleted a lot of their more thirst-trappy content and hadn't said a word to her about any of it. So that's like what's going on. These are the questions we are going to explore. Number one, where's the line with like thirst trap, fan cam, I think you're hot and you play hockey sort of content? Number two, should Felicia have handled this situation differently? And number three, do the Seattle Kraken owe Kierra an apology? Let's start with the content. I've seen lots of different videos of Wennberg and other hockey players, and there's a wide range. You have the stuff like players in their game day suits walking in slow motion. A lot of that stuff will be posted by like the NHL accounts themselves. You'll also have on the BookTok side creators who will take hockey romance books and then pick out actual like NHL players to be the male love interest in these books based on like the character descriptions and stuff. That's also relatively harmless. There's a different level of content, however, from some corners of BookTok where people are just cycling through photos of players while saying the most graphic things you've ever heard, and then the comments turn into who can say the even more shocking thing about this real life person who plays a sport for a living. And that's different. So with that very wide spectrum of content out there, I get where Felicia is coming from when she says she can play along at first when it's just about finding someone attractive, but eventually it becomes actual harassment, both online and also at games. Like people have been chanting things at games. It's gotten pretty out of control. Felicia called out groin stretching specifically in her post, and that has always been a hard nope for me when it comes to hockey content. Like, I'm not saying that I've never liked a video that could probably be construed as harassment because I find hockey boys cute as well, but with groin stretching, I'm like, they're not doing that to be suggestive. They're at their jobs. They're doing a stretch that they need ice for to avoid being injured, which is also an obligation of their job to avoid injury. So to record that and like put your commentary over it because you think it's hot is just creepy. I think it's creepy, and I have always been anti-groin stretching videos. Kierra Lewis isn't the only person making videos about hockey players or Alex Wenberg specifically that cross a line, but she is one of the loudest voices in the area, both metaphorically because she has quite a large following and literally because she has a tendency to yell. Initially, when I heard about this whole situation, I was kind of surprised that Kierra was called out or like shown specifically in the screenshots because I hadn't realized how far her content went. I don't follow her. We don't have very similar like book preferences and I can't match her energy level, so I respected her grind but wasn't really keeping track of what she did. So as I was looking more into this whole situation and I saw some examples that people were sharing of things that she had made about Alex Wenberg, I was pretty shocked with the things that she was willing to say out loud about a person who could see it. I understand why Felicia chose the screenshot she did of the comment under Kierra's video. It really shows the extreme nature of the content of the video just based on that reaction, where it holes, but doesn't get fully explicit, so I get why she picked that one. That kind of brings us to point number 2. Should Felicia have handled this differently? I would change one thing. I think she should have taken Kierra's display name out of the second screenshot if she chose to do so for the username in the first screenshot. I just think that's fair. I've seen other people say they think the whole situation should have been handled privately, and I disagree with that. Because the problem is not specifically with Kierra, she is one example, but it's the whole culture of harassment and overstepping that Kierra's content has contributed to, along with many others. It just wouldn't be feasible or effective for Felicia to handle it privately when she would have to reach out individually to every single person who has ever left an inappropriate comment or made an inappropriate video about her husband and or their family. She felt like it made the most sense to address it en masse, and I agree with that. And as for Felicia not replying to Kierra's message where she apologized and stuff in the DMs, she doesn't have to. The sincerity of your apology shouldn't hinge on whether or not the other person accepts it. If you're sorry, you're sorry. And based on some of what I'm hearing, Kierra's not really that sorry. I didn't see it myself, but apparently she went on TikTok Live and called Felicia a Karen, said she was delusional, maybe called her the B word. She was also apparently liking people's comments where they were speculating that Alex Wenberg was cheating on his wife, and that's why she's suddenly so insecure about things. And then Kierra also posted a TikTok like notes app screenshot carousel thing, gosh, the world we live in, where she said that Felicia was slandering her by calling her a sexual harasser. She was saying that all of her content is jokes, and if you can't take a joke, that's your problem, and saying that other celebrities that she's made content about think it's funny and their family members think it's funny, and so like stop slandering her, she's not a sexual harasser. Like, Kierra, grow up, take the criticism, let your apology be an apology, stop trying to convince people you're the victim, and move on. That's all you have to do here. Jeez. Here's our last question. Does the Kraken marketing team owe Kierra an apology? I don't know if I can say based only on the publicly available information. I also want to just, disclaimer, I'm probably biased toward the team because the Kraken are my favorite hockey team. I've been a fan since they were first brought on to existing 2 years ago when they had their first season. I've been like a big old Kraken fan since then. So I'm acknowledging that bias. In her Notes app TikTok thing, Kierra mentioned specifically that the Kraken social team encouraged her to post. We don't know to what level they encouraged the more explicit side of her posting. It could be argued that they were implicitly encouraging it just by engaging with her at all throughout anything, but I also don't know the timeline of when her post maybe started to cross that line, whether it was before they flew her out for the playoff game or after. I saw some clips where she was harassing Wenberg like from the sideline through the plexiglass during the game. Highly uncool, never ever do that, they can hear you. So yes, the social team probably could have handled things better and differently a long time ago, but as for whether they directly owe her an apology, I don't know if I can say. Some people are really upset that the Seattle Kraken sort of abandoned Kierra without a word after she arguably helped their account grow somewhat significantly with her content. If you go look at the comments on their most recent posts, it's a lot of people saying they never would have heard of the Kraken without Kierra, and people saying stuff like, "Bye from BookTok, we're out." people are mad. But here's the thing. Kierra absolutely brought new fans to the team, but that doesn't mean that they owe her more than they owe their own player and his family, especially in a situation like this. Obviously, we don't know what happened behind the scenes, but if Alex Wenberg came to the Kraken admin and said, "I am not comfortable with our team accounts encouraging and interacting with creators who make content exploiting and objectifying me," to me, that's that. Things change after that. And even if he didn't come directly and say those words to the social team or the marketing team, his statement and Felicia's statement would be enough where the people in charge go, "We clearly need to change our strategy. This is not okay." Ideally, they did a full scrub of the accounts that they're following and didn't single out Kierra specifically, but I'm glad they're standing with the Wenbergs. I'm glad they're supporting their player and his family, especially because this is a sexual harassment situation, and that's serious, and their concerns should be taken seriously. Now, should someone from the Kraken marketing team who has previously interacted with Kierra have reached out to talk to her about this or say something to her about it? Maybe. I kind of struggle to think of what would be appropriate to say in the situation. The closest I could come up with that maybe made sense would be something like, "Hi, in light of the Wenbergs' recent posts, thank you for taking down some of your videos. We have also removed some videos from our account and have some new guidelines we'll be following to help make sure our players and their families are more comfortable with the content we make going forward. Here are some of those guidelines. We hope we can still count you as a Kraken fan." That would maybe be the kind of thing you would expect to hear, but also like I don't know how you would mention like, "We're going to unfollow you now." So it's not perfect by any means. The last thing I want to say is while there are definitely people who are very solidly Team Kierra all the way with this situation, it seems like most of the BookTok community recognizes that there has been harassment going on and that it's not okay and needs to be reined in, and that real people are not book characters for you to project things onto and say inappropriate things about. Just be cool to people. If it would be weird for a guy to say about a female gymnast, it's weird for you to say about a male hockey player. In general, like, it's so weird that BookTok is associated with sexualizing real life people. That doesn't have anything to do with books. Have your fantasies about fictional characters and leave real human beings to just do their jobs. Let them do their groin stretches so they don't get hurt and ruin my hockey season. Anyway, don't send Kierra any hate. I'm sure she's having a really hard time right now, and I hope she's growing from it. I hope it's not just becoming sort of an enabling echo chamber that she's creating for herself, because there are lessons to be learned here. Shout out to Felicia Wenberg for taking a pretty solidly feminist lens on this entire thing, and it's brave of her to speak up because she's definitely getting some backlash as well. So kudos to her. Good luck to the Seattle Kraken social team dealing with whatever they're gonna have to deal with over the near future. And good luck to the Seattle Kraken hockey team on another great year. I will be watching respectfully. Please subscribe to my channel.